There's a brilliant scene in the film The Theory of Everything, where Stephen Hawking's wife, Jane, explains the conflict between the two main pillars of physics. Rather than diving into technical details, she makes use of props on the dinner table.
The two great pillars of physics are quantum theory, the laws that govern the very small particles, electrons and so on, and general relativity.
Yes, Einstein.
Einstein's theory, the laws that govern the very large planets and such.
The problem is that whilst these two theories work very well independently, when you try to get them to play together,
Well, then it all goes a little... Yes, haywire. Just all becomes a godless mess.
Oh dear.
even a small child can relate to and understand this basic idea. The peas won't play with the potatoes. And this brings us to today's topic, relatability. So what is relatability? Relatability is all about whether your audience can see themselves or something they know in what you're saying. So a relatable character has traits that remind the audience of themselves in one or more ways. A relatable location reminds them of a familiar environment, and so on. This relatability relationship doesn't have to be direct. We can relate to cartoon characters and other completely fictional figures, landscapes, and situations if the portrayal is well executed. The main thing is that we have something in common or something familiar to grab hold of. The same goes for technical presentations and pitches. You can pitch the wildest tech in the world and get a fantastic reception if it is relatable to your audience. The problem is that many technical presentations and pitches are framed in technical language and concepts that only make sense to the person presenting or perhaps to a few other specialists. If you're making such a presentation, you need to create a bridge from your world to the audience's world by highlighting the elements that they have in common. To give a very simple example, let's say you're pitching a traffic monitoring app in London. Then you might use some images of traffic with familiar sights in the background like Big Ben or Buckingham Palace. But if you're pitching in Shanghai, you should swap those images out for local images that speak to a local Shanghai audience. In this example, the conceptual distance from your idea and the world that the audience lives in is very small, because for them to see what you're talking about, they just need to look out the window. Things get much more difficult when it comes to making abstract concepts relatable, which is why the theory of everything example is so great, boiling down two very difficult ideas into something a 4-year-old can understand.